Towcester Racecourse, ready for round 3 of the Star Sports and TRC English Derby. It's 4 o'clock. We're still a few hours away, but we are getting ready. And if you are coming tonight, do wrap up, because as you can see, the sun is not out on the Towcester venue. We are Gone to the Dogs live. As always, I am Danny Jackson, and this afternoon and evening, I've got the pleasure once again of Joe Keneally. Joe, how are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you, Danny. Not too bad. Been a good week away, but we're refreshed. We're good to go. And what an absolute fantastic night we've got ahead of us.
I mean, Hobbsy, we're down to the 47 now last remaining competitors, but we see the Derby champion tonight.
We certainly do. I think it's always one of the best race nights of the entire year. It's you know, traditionally it is the night where you can come away, so you've seen the Derby winner, same conditions throughout the night, fingers crossed. It's slightly overcast. It's not too cold out there, but certainly not as sunny as it has been.
You'll be getting the scarf and the flat cap on, won't you, outside?
Flat cap, yes. Scarf I've left at home.
Ooh. Oh, getting brave. Getting brave. Right, so breaking news we have got is Racket Hall Brute is out of Heat 1. That comes up at 7:10 this evening. So we've now got just the 5 dogs going to post. He has been declared lame, so out of Heat number 1. We have got the the front two in the Irish Derby going to post at 8:06 in Heat number 4. And we round off with the old boy Churchfield Sid at 9:15 in Heat 8. But it's going to be an absolute cracker. Let's have a look at the outright betting. These are the best prices you can get around at the moment. Bocco's Diamond 3-1, Cheap Sandwiches 6s, Bombo Pat 8s, Delardi-Dar, last year's champion 12s, Ballinabola Joe 14s, 16s bar those. Joe, just looking at the top of the market, I mean, it's a bit of an Irish domination.
Yeah, I was on the way over. My dad earlier said, England, we can't win it, can we, this year? Again, just looking at that, it's an Irish domination. And just looking at the betting there, Danny, 28-1 Tiffield Tarquin. Now, there's been absolutely fortunes for Droopy's Trade tonight.
Yeah,
he's now bigger. He's bigger than Tiffield Tarquin. They run against each other tonight. So if you think 28 is big Tiffield Tarquin, Hobbsy, you're getting at least 33-1 Droopy's Trade.
Exactly. Time to get involved if you've not already, and you can see the fastest times there. And I think it's great that, you know, of course, we are going to big up the big clash of the night, the highlight of the 3rd round. But isn't it great to see Delardi-Dar, top of the tree, defending champion? He's the fastest so far with that round 1 success in 28.50, but some lightning fast times. You just feel, all things being equal, Bocco's Diamond might just go quicker tonight.
I've heard 28.30 being mentioned.
The track record massively under threat, I feel.
I agree. I do think it's under threat tonight, because I think we've got 2 absolute superstars going to post at 8:06. I mean, we can have a look at that heat in its entirety. We've got Trap 1, JT Craze 12s, 2 Droopy's Bookham 12s, 3 Salakers Sen and 25s, Kevin's Rocket 50-1 in 4, 2-1 on Bocco's Diamond in 5, Cheap Sandwiches 5-2 in 6. I tell you what, let's go back in time. We're going to November last year when they clashed in the Irish Derby. Yeah,
this was just sensational, and a fantastic campaign from Bocco's Diamond. At this time, he'd only been beat once in his career, hadn't he? And this was a great run. Cheap Sandwiches in 2nd. You look at the final, Hobbsy, Callaway Kinniger, Sing-Along Dolly, Ball Sports Bob, and Lucky Julie, who's favourite for the Irish Oaks at the minute as well. So, you know, what a field, and what he'd done to him all the way through the competition was just spectacular.
Yeah, unbeaten run through the Irish Derby. He became a superstar on this night, and Bocco's Diamond's looking to do something that only one Greyhound's ever done before, and won an Irish Derby and then an English Derby. And of course, he's got a good man in his camp in terms of Graham Holland and his team. But the vagaries of the 3rd round draw throws him up against Cheap Sandwiches once again. So the first 2 in the Irish Derby going head to head.
It's going to be a sensational race, I think, because you've got probably them drawn the right way round. Yeah. We're going to have a look at the head-ons shortly, but this is the race from last week. Bocco's Diamond was the winner, and Kevin's Rocket actually competes again. He ran a burster, Kevin's Rocket.
He did, and Racket Hall Brute was in this race as well. Unfortunately, we have lost today, reported lame, and it kind of took him about 5-10 yards to get going, and then all of a sudden he went, right, see you later, I'm out of here. Bocco's Diamond. Before you knew it, he was 3 lengths clear at the first bend, and you know, I listened to Billy last night, I was on the space, and he just glided, Hobbsy, didn't he? It was a brilliant performance. I
mean, I thought in the first round, I think the word workmanlike was used, but he showed that devastating pace, I thought, off the 2nd bend, and you thought, wow, you know, it hasn't had too much racing. Of course, there was the defeat of the Paws of Proper Heiress in the Juvenile Championship. They took that on the chin. It was a denting of the confidence, perhaps, but that one run, I think, was needed. Come the second round, he absolutely blasted. But equally, I'm sure that there could have been easier draws, really, for Bocco's Diamond. But I think, as Joe has alluded to, and yourself, that they are drawn the right way. Fingers crossed. Look, they're not machines. Anything can happen. But if you had to have them side by side, you'd have them that way round.
Definitely.
100%. I mean, we can have a look at Cheap Sandwich's run from last week. He was winning and JT Craze was in third.
I haven't seen a wide runner run the bends as well as what this dog's doing around here. He's just absolutely, his balance and the way he drives them first two bends. That's Fade Point Harvey in front of him.
Yeah.
You know, there's no mug, and there's been loads of money for him tonight as well. So he's in with a proper dog there, Fade Point Harvey. So what he does out the first and second bend, he glides around these bends. He is an absolute joy to watch, isn't he, in full flight? He really is. And look, Fade Point Harvey chased him down in second, JT Craze. I managed to get 2 out of 3 through. I lost Ball Sports Bob from that race. Got 2 through. I'm hoping we could do the same again tonight, Danny, with the same 2. It's going to be tough.
Fingers crossed. I mean, a good greyhound always has that balance around the bends, doesn't they, Hobbsy? Because, you know, if you look at Cheap Sandwiches, he, I think, to the eye, has looked better than Bocco's Diamond so far.
I think both have run that second bend really well. So there wouldn't be a huge amount between them. We do suspect that, well, I'm assuming that Bocco's Diamond gets first run. I mean, there seems to be 1 or 2 people out there that really do believe that 500 metres does tax him and he's vulnerable off the last bend. You could see him coming back to his field, but that devastating burst of pace is going to win him so many races and has done already, of course. He's only been beaten twice, I think.
Twice now, yeah, proper RS. And was it first or second time in his career in Ireland?
I think it was his first. I think it was his opening run, yeah, and then he just went,
He
and
did.
fired them all in. So very, very good race coming up. But I tell you what, we've been talking about the draw. Let's have a look at them on their head-ons, because this will give us a clue as to why we've been saying it's great that Bocco's Diamond is drawn on the inside of Cheap Sandwiches. This is Bocco's Diamond, like an arrow, straight and true out of the box.
Yeah, he's the blessing is, Danny, when you've got the early pace that he's got. From this moment there, when you're 2 lengths clear, you can dictate where you want to go.
Yeah.
So if he wants to just drive in and really cut that bend, he can do so. And this is Cheap Sandwiches, Hobbsy, from 5.
Yeah, out of track 5, I think it was Ball Sports Bob in
Yeah.
6. So you're not going to suspect or expect the 6 to match the strides with a 5. But if anything, he's drifting out towards the outside there. So all things being equal. But look, Bocco's Diamond, Cheap Sandwiches, they're going to command all the headlines. But this is a good race. Droopy's Bookham, JT Craze, and Kevin's Rocket for JK, who sat in this seat last week. You know, good luck to him. It's all about qualification. He will not mind being 10 lengths behind either Cheap Sandwiches, Bocco's Diamond, Droopy's Bookham, as long as he's third.
Well, we were in the studio last week, me and JK, and we were watching, of course, Bocco's Diamond, and then both of us, as soon as we knew that he'd won, switched our attentions to Kevin's Rocket, because we were both like, come on, just hold on, you know, just hold on for a qualifying place. And yeah, it was brilliant.
Good TV.
And I do wish him the best of luck. Now we're going to have a look at another couple of dogs that are in action this evening. The next of those in heat number 3. We've got No Better Feeling in 120s, Barefoot on Fire 2 at 13-2, Da-La-Dee-Da 7-4 in 3, Hopes and Palumpa 33-1 in 4, Ballinabola Joe 2-1 in 5, and March on Freddie in 6 at 11-4. So we're going to have a look at Ballinabola Joe and Da-La-Dee-Da. They were in heat 2 last Friday, competing together, and they were first and second.
Yeah, again, just an initial burst of early speed from an absolute glowing picture, isn't he? A big fawn, strapping dog, Ballinabola Joe, and he's done this really well. Look, he's got Da-La-Dee-Da in second there. There was plenty of trouble there. Soul Chance, Lenny's Desire, Tabletoppers all found trouble. That allowed Teddy and Da-La-Dee-Da to give chase. And look, he was probably 6-7 lengths clear of him at one stage, Hobbsy, and he's closed it to a length and a half. So we know that this dog can do it both ways.
Absolutely. Great speed shown by Pat Buckley's Ballinabola Joe. But I did think that was an impressive run from Da-La-Dee-Da. Of course, he absolutely bolted out in the first round. It was just a sensational effort, a real stamp my authority on this derby. Once again, I want to keep my trophy. I think, if anything, that was as good a run, if not better. I know the clock would say that's not the case, but he didn't really come away. He wound up a challenge. He just looked the type, and it's not an easy heat, but he's a big price if you fancy him. but it's all about getting to the first three. He can do it from both ways, and in many ways, it's almost reminiscent of what was going on 12 months ago. If you remember, he was a sensational puppy, doing extraordinary times, and then during the English Derby campaign, very much under the radar, and things came right on a glorious evening for Liam Downing. And same again, he's going into the third round of the Derby. He's the fastest in the competition, and we're talking, understandably, of course, about Bocco's Diamond and Cheap Sandwiches. He's still a player.
And he is only 3.5.
Yeah.
Like, he's not an old boy. He's not in like veteran stage now. He's 3.5 years of age, so he's in his pomp, really. You know, they say between that 2 and 4, don't they, where they're at their absolute peak. So he's still only 3.5 years of age, so there's plenty more to come from.
What I think is more concerning is that we've sat here for 10 minutes. I'm not too sure we've mentioned an English trained dog yet. Which
just about to change that, Hogsy, because
glad to hear, Danny.
This lad, we were having a few words around the place that maybe he doesn't take to toast, or maybe doesn't quite like it. But we spoke to Dave Mullins on the podcast last year, and he said this lad just needs a few runs around to get used to a track, and this showed last week.
I was really, really pleased what he done last week. I must say, I was happy for George and Dave and all the team that he's just silenced a few doubters. Now, look, we know it wouldn't be tailor-made for him, because it's harder to pass these dogs when you've got a Barefoot on fire, a Deladi Dar in front of you. It's extremely tough. He's got a Saleka's Sen in there that he's giving chase to, so I appreciate that. But I was so pleased that he won last week. And look, you've ruled him out of your peril out of that first three, because he's going to be staying on, like we know. You're going to do extremely well to keep him out of the first three. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, they're settled for that. Connections. You know, Dave Mullins, George Watson, that's what they want. They want to be in the first three. And what is, again, a very, very tough heat. But, yeah, he's just coming to the fore nicely, I think, at the time. You know, of course, you know, great Irish Derby campaign. He'll just, I think, keep on improving, but of course he's going to have to improve again from the second round to the third round. It's just natural, but he's very popular. I
tell you what, I was just going to say he is very popular, because we could even hear the roar here when he hit the front last week. So that just proves how popular this lad is.
I think he arguably is like in popularity stakes, if there's such a race, that he's in with Barntick Bear and Churchill Cedar at the top. We're talking English trained runners, okay? Barntick Bear and Churchfield, and I think he's next in, because he's a younger runner as well of those three. And as Joe says, hope he qualifies.
Fingers crossed, full march on Freddie. Right, we're going to have a look at heat number 2 as well, because we've got Bombay Pat in action. 4-6 favourite, he is in trap 6. 11-4 Droopy's Plunge, and bigger prices for the rest of them. We're going to have a look at Bombay Pat in action. This was superb from the youngster.
Yeah, we're talking a hell of a lot about Cheap Sandwiches and Bocco's Diamond, and this lad's just going about his business quietly, isn't he? He really is. You know, we're so focused on them too, and you know he's still there around 7-8 to 1 Bombay Pat, I believe, and. You know, you just keep letting him do what he's doing. Graham will be thrilled just to keep him going about his business quietly. And obviously, if he keeps doing this, we'll soon be making some noise next week again.
Yeah, I know. Trained by Graham Holland, who's got an embarrassment of riches once again, isn't he? And, you know, as it stands, 1, 2, 3 possible. But Bubbly Charger is showing, I think, a sensational burst of pace into the first bend for Damien and Plunkett.
It's a real buckle tonight, I must say. Them two go in. If they come out how they can, and they're going into that first bend roaring together, that's a real buckle. This dog's just getting better and better as well. Only May 23, Danny, so this is you know, the Kirby was in the Kirby final behind Faithful and Rangers third in that. That form always stands up. Solo Mio second in that.
Yep.
You know, it's solid, and he's a big plays. A big price as well, around 13-2 tonight. Looks a big price.
And in terms of the cheers last week, I mean, I'd like to have thought that, you know, the Champagne Club owned Bubbly Charger, so that cheer should have been as big as March on Freddie, and I'm sure it'll be the same tonight, yeah?
Here tonight. They're in the restaurant tonight.
Just a word on Bombay Pat as well. He featured twice in that top 10 fastest times.
Yeah, consistency.
Very, very consistent so far, and we've only had 2 rounds, so we'll see how he gets on this evening in heat number 2. Now, Joe, have we had any kind of market movers this evening? Who's the money for? Yeah,
it's changed a little bit, Danny, with the withdrawal of Racket All Brute. So there was money for Sunnyside Broxy during the week. He opened around 7-2. He was into around 11-4 come before Racket All Brute coming out. Droopy's Trade is all the rage. He has been all week. He was around 5-2 opening show at the start of the week. He's as big as 6-4 now. You can't get any bigger than that. And also Faith Point Harvey was around 11-4. He's now only 7-4 as big. So they're the two. Droopy's Trade, Faith Point Harvey, both on the inside, both in trap 1.
Interesting.
And I have seen Denise, she's after that super boost again.
OK.
They've gone 11 to 10 Bombay Pat.
OK.
Now, through Cheltenham and whatever else, they all got
Right
stuffed.
on those, yeah.
They all got stuffed. So,
Okay.
11 to 10 Bombay Pat is there with one firm.
This is bet 365.
At 365, yeah. It's only to however much you can get on your account, but yeah, 11 to 10. That won't be here later on. So if you can get it, take it.
OK. Now we have got Keneally's Calamity Crackers coming up at Toast this evening. No surprise to see Bombay Pat on there, Bocco's Diamond, you know, the Old Boyd Churchfield Sid. So maybe gone a little bit safe to get some winners on the board, Joe?
Oh, I don't know about that. The Droopy's a lad in around 3 to 1, 7 to 2. Sunnyside Broxy was when that we spoke about him on Monday, Danny, didn't we, with Barry and Lofty, and we were all sweet on Sunnyside Broxy. Obviously, that price now will be different. If you can get 2 to 1, be more than happy. Faypoint Harvey, again, your next best in him at around 5 to 2, 11 to 4.
Yeah. When
you do the card earlier in the week, he's been smashed off the boards. And yeah, the Old Boy Churchfield Sid, I just thought, I couldn't see what was going to lead him.
No, I agree.
He just loves it round here. His love affair can continue tonight. And let's just hope he leads and makes all, because what a way to end the night that will be.
I mean, talking about the top 2 that are favourites at the moment in the English sphere, we've got Churchfield Sid in 6 and Barntick Bear in 2 in that race as well to round off the card, so it's going to be a cracker.
Barntick Bear. Now, just quickly on Barntick Bear.
Yeah.
I would much prefer to have the draw he had in round 1 with the early pace dog, Swift Underwater, and I can't think of the dog who was in 3, Era Secundai, who were out of his way.
Yeah.
I'd be much more concerned having a fabulous Sonique inside me. If that was at Romford 575, she's odds on to lead him into the first bend. Now he's got a little bit more to do now, so I'd be more worried about the draw that he's got tonight than I would be with a brute early pace dog inside him. He's got Solomia in 3 as well, who's going to clear him. But he'd just throw in that odd ping, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Now and again.
He's got to hold that position, though, into the bend. That's going to be key for Barntick Bear, but we know he comes home.
Right, I'll tell you what we're going to have a look at before we go. It's the naps. So, Joe, we've mentioned Sunnyside Broxy. Hopsy, la-di-da.
Yeah, la-di-da. I might have just alluded and given it away a little bit earlier, but I do think his run last week was very good, and just a sharper start might just see him reverse form with Balanabola Joe. Sunnyside Broxy for you, Joe, I can see. And you're gone. I mean, look, I'm tipping Vegar tonight. I think she's got an excellent chance, and she's definitely the value. I'm not as brave as you, though, clearly, because you're naptastic.
Points. He's after that. I was scrolling down for about 2 hours last night on the GWA tipping.
Oh,
I still couldn't get to Danny's name. She is after double points, Vegar.
Are you at the bottom, are you?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
She's below bottom, Hobbsy. She's literally... I don't know where she is.
I couldn't be doing worse. I've barely tipped a winner, and when I have, they've been like 2 to 7.
You're the presenter. There's no need.
She's in the bed under the stairs. Harry Potter here.
Okay. But the reason I like Vegar is because how she qualified last week, I'll never know. How she finished second to Churchfield Sid, I'll never know. But she also had to ride a crowd at the first bend. And for me, I think that's put... You know, that's chopped her momentum early. She will sit handier this evening. She is so strong. I know she's got Sing-Along Molly, who's strong in the race as well, but I just thought the value for me in that race, there's a couple that might go off like rockets. I think she's going to settle in and go. I think that's a possibility. Just the way the race is framed, I think there's a possibility of a changing of positions going into that 3rd and 4th bend where she could pounce if the gap's open.
I firmly believe, Danny, if she didn't go lane before the Hunt Cup semi-final, she's coming into this on the back of winning that.
Oh, I agree.
At Oxford.
Yeah.
Because she took forever to understand where she was in the heats that day. She was only getting better. She loves it round here. We've seen her clock some big times round here. I was on best pitch at 14 to 1. So there's 5 left. We're on each way first 4. So we can maybe just get one out tonight. The each way money's in. I know some shrewd people who were on at 14s as well. Yeah. Because she does fly home. And again, Danny, look, it's a sport in that because you never know. If she's 3 lengths behind off the last bend, you've got every chance. So
the loudest cheer could come from in here.
You'd hear me over there. Right, we are wrapping up for now because we'll be back at 6:45 for the very best Greyhound action you will see anywhere on the planet on Gone to the Dogs.